Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm here with Francois from Marmelab, or Marmelab, I guess, in French. There's apparently a pun in there. If you're French, you might be able to understand it. The creator of React Admin and also Atomic CRM, which we want to talk about, mostly about Atomic CRM, which is a new template that Marmelab has built. And so thanks so much, Francois, for joining me today. And maybe you can just briefly introduce yourself and then tell us about Atomic CRM.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. It's a great pleasure. So my name is Francois Zaninotto. I'm French. I live in France. I'm a software engineer by trade. I created a company called Marmelab 11 years ago. And I'm fond of open source and the React ecosystem. We've built a tool called React Admin something like 6 or 7 years ago. And it's open source and it helps web developers build let's say B2B apps on top of REST and REST and graphical APIs, sorry. And we also built Atomic CRM, which is kind of a template for building your own CRM or framework for building your own CRM. And it came from the fact that we wanted our own CRM. The existing SaaS offerings were either too expensive or hard to tweak, and the open source ones were also often very complicated. So we needed something simple to start with, and where we could own the data, where we could have our own list of contacts and companies. And Supabase was the go-to solution for that. So we really wanted to build something on top of Supabase, and React Admin was the obvious front-end solution. So we started building that for us, and it went great. So we're using it right now, and we thought, well, maybe we're not the only ones having this problem of having to choose between complex open source solutions, very expensive SaaS solutions, and wanting to do something somewhere in the middle, but tailor-made for our own business, where we could just tweak, like the tasks or the connections to third-party APIs. So we open sourced it a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, here we are.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think that generally is the best story is, you build something that you need yourself. And, that's kind of how Supabase was born as well. And, others found that is a useful tool for, for many. And so that's how, Supabase was born, and now Atomic CRM as well. How long have you been working on this?
Well, Atomic CRM started as a demo for React Admin. So we have several demos that showcase the capabilities of React Admin. One that is an e-commerce backend, another that is a writing guide. And we had this CRM lying somewhere between a demo and a half-baked product. And when we wanted to build our own CRM, we thought, well, we're halfway there with the demo. That was starting something like, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. But we needed to finish it. We needed to add user registration. We needed to add notifications, etc., etc. So we invested it last summer, and so it was finished somewhere in the middle of the summer.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. And so you told us a little bit about the stack. Supabase is in there, React Admin. What else kind of is, part of this bundle, so to speak?
Yeah, so it's a classic React single-page application. So we have PostgRESQL, obviously, and Supabase that provide an API, a REST API. We consume this API using React Query, and we have Material UI as the UI kit that provide us the look and feel. And we have also a React Hook form that is helping us building complex user interactions. And React Admin is the glue between all these libraries, and it makes the development fast and easy.
That's awesome. And I think you mentioned there's a good amount of kind of Supabase features you're using pretty much the entire stack. Maybe you can tell us a little bit sort of, what parts of Supabase are you using and sort of how?
Yeah, so Supabase was a great enabler when building Atomic CRM, and we've built tons of web apps and backends, and reinventing the wheel is super tiresome. So we were really happy with Supabase for other projects and for Atomic CRM as well. So we're using obviously the REST API that comes from PostgREST, and the powerful operators of this API with the ability to embed, to filter, etc., etc. But that's the basis. We also use views because, for instance, when we have a page that aggregates data from several tables, instead of querying several API routes, we built views that aggregate the data and expose only one resource to the front end. So there is only one round trip to the server. We're also using edge functions. For instance, when you enter a new contact in the CRM, the application will try to fetch the user avatar, and it will do that by either looking if there is a gravatar for this email, or going to the domain of the email and looking for a favicon. And this is done server side, and so we're using edge functions for that. And we're also using storage because, in a CRM, you obviously want to upload documents and to share them. So pretty much the entire stack. Also the authentication stack is fantastic. The ability to enroll new users, except email is kind of restricted recently. This is really something we rely upon, and it saves us tons of time. Maybe it's a good time to show, because maybe I'm talking about contacts and stuff. Let me share my screen.
No, that's amazing. And especially PostgREST, so like the auto-generated REST API, that's an open source project that actually existed before Supabase, and we're now just contributing and sponsoring, basically employing the contributors of that project, and it really is a amazing project, just in terms of the remote procedure calls, the views, the filtering, kind of all that you mentioned, that's built into this API kind of out of the box. Really, really incredibly powerful.
Yeah, we love it, and sometimes we're forced to use other database engines, and we're so sad not to have the equivalent of Postgres there, because we have to reinvent everything. So here is Atomic CRM. It's what you would expect of a basic CRM. So you have a dashboard that gives you an overview of the upcoming tasks, the hot contacts, the latest activity, and this is the deal revenue. A CRM is around managing contacts. So you can search for contacts by activity. You can search for contacts by status or by tag. You have a full text search engine as well. What's a contact? A contact is basically a set of contact information, some background, some tasks, and you can add notes. I'm using some fake data here, obviously, but I can add some notes and change, for instance, the status of the contact, change the date, so it's in French, and add the note, and then it arrives just there. I can add some tasks, whatever, and achieve tasks when they're done. This is something very basic that you would expect from any CRM. You can edit the contacts, attach some information about them. A contact belongs to a company, so you can also see your directory of companies here. Well, you can filter by sector, by size, etc., and you can see for each company how many contacts they have. You can edit also the background information. Everything basic you would expect. You can change the avatar, upload a new image, and when you enter a new contact, there are some nice touches, like when you say, I want Francois Zaninotto at Marmelab.com, automatically it will fill the first and last name. So some of the things we need for our own day-to-day life, and that we added to the product. And then there's the deal board where you can see all the deals that are not yet done, and you can transfer them from one column to the other. This one was lost, and then this changes the pipeline, the total that you have. And so a deal is kind of a mix. It's a relation between company contacts, where you can add contacts and you can change the amount, the category, and add some notes to a deal. That's basically it. As it's a real app, you also have the ability to manage users, to enroll new users, to export data, to import data from, for instance, another CRM. So that's really the base ground for building your own CRM. And obviously, each company will want to, update the tags, the company categories, etc., etc. So it's really built with developers in mind. The UI is pretty basic, but very easy to customize thanks to Material UI theming. So it's super easy to paint it to your company's color.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think you told me as well that, you were utilizing even kind of the Supabase management API to like spin up databases for folks. Can you kind of talk maybe a bit about, these are features that not every Supabase developer touches on the daily. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit, and also, if that was easy to use or if you had any struggles there.
Right. So we tried to make the onboarding as easy as possible, but creating a new Atomic CRM instance means you will have to create a new database. You will have to create all these tables and functions, and you will have to customize them to your own needs. Having people just type lots of commands to bootstrap the application wasn't a good enough user experience. So what we did is we created a script that allows user to remotely create a database and do everything in one command. So it's an interactive script, and it uses this Supabase management API to create a database, run migrations, etc., etc. And it runs great, except when the Supabase management API doesn't return a machine-readable output. So we had to do some regular expressions to pass the output of these commands. So, for instance, when you want to know which regions you can deploy to, when we want to know various the URLs where we have to pass the output. So this was done before the Supabase management API had JSON output. By the way, we contributed that to make it easier to read. And so you can now have this developer experience where you have nothing. You just you install Atomic CRM with Supabase. You run a command. You have to have a Supabase account, but that's all. And it will open the web view to have you connected to Supabase, and then do all the rest. Create a database where you want it with the name you want, create the schema, populate with the data, and run the API, grab the URL and put that in your environment variables, run the application, and bam, you have it. So it's really this idea of application template that is super easy to deploy, and it wouldn't have been possible without this management API. It's a great tool, really.
And I think that again underlines kind of the power of open source, because you guys were like, oh, this isn't working for us. Like, this could be better for everyone out there. And so you just went in and contributed what is useful for yourselves, but then the entire Supabase community. So amazing. Thanks so much for that. That's really, really cool. Now, Atomic CRM, kind of a big part of it is React Admin as well. Now, that project has been around a bit longer, and React Admin has had a partnership with Supabase for a while. Maybe you can dive a little bit into kind of that open source project and sort of how that enables an application like Atomic CRM.
Right. So React Admin is a general purpose front-end framework for building single-page applications that we built, again, for our own usage. We are a web agency, so we build tons of web apps and API-centric web apps, and we've been doing that for more than a decade now. So we wanted to capitalize and reuse some of the past components we built, and also have the best practices built in, so you don't have to think about it. So we built this framework for us. In fact, we built it initially in AngularJS back in 2012. And then when AngularJS was totally rewritten, we thought, why do we have to stick with Angular? If we have to rewrite our own framework, let's take the best framework out there. So we went to React, and we built React Admin. And we've been polishing it ever since. And the idea is to, I like this quote by Alan Kay, to make simple things simple and make complicated things possible. That's the motto behind React Admin. We want the initial developer experience to be super smooth, so you can generate an entire CRUD backend in minutes. It just reads the data schema and generates the list views, the edit forms, etc., etc. And then you can start tweaking it little by little and move away from the database schema or the API schema and move towards a more task-oriented interface. And we have tons of primitives for that. Everything you see in Atomic CRM here is powered by React Admin. So this list is a React Admin component. This filter sidebar is a React Admin component. This button here to change the sort order is a React Admin component. And behind the components, we also have a headless hook API that will help you build your own framework if you want. So it really quickens the web development. And for us, it's something that is very great selling points when we build our own projects, because we go faster with the React Admin. And React Admin is, at its basis, it's done for CRUD, so you can easily build a list and show views, etc., etc. But it can also go way further. So you can build a CRM, you can build e-commerce web app, you can build a note-taking app, for instance. Even if that's powered by Material UI, you wouldn't say that it's powered by Material UI. And you can build in like AI auto-completions. So this is something we've built with React Admin. And you can theme it all the way to building a Spotify clone. This is built with React Admin. Okay, so you have...
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so you're not limited to the usual, lists and forms stuff. Okay, this is going to play some music, and I can interact with that. I can, I like this one. I want to play later, have my playlist, etc., etc. So this is what React Admin can do with a search engine,
Is that also connected to Supabase, or?
No, this one is using a local API, but the idea is that React Admin is agnostic in terms of API. So it uses something we call data providers. Data providers are adapters to your API, and we provide tons of built-in data providers, including, of course, Supabase. So Supabase is a first-class citizen in React Admin. We've heavily invested in the Supabase ecosystem, so it's really plug and play when you want to start a React Admin app. And this is for data API, but we have the same for authentication backends. You can use various identity providers and use them as your authentication layer on top of Supabase. It's really seen as a framework where you can plug whatever you want, and then there are something like 230 components you can pick from to build your own application. So, for instance, if you have very complicated forms. We have tons of form inputs to manage relationships as well, easily with a relationship-oriented API. So, yeah, it's very large today. It's sometimes a bit overwhelming for newcomers, so that's why we have a beginner mode where we show you less features, so you can dive straight in. Sorry, and we also recently added some videos to help newcomers dive in easily. So
that's amazing. Yeah, wow. Obviously I knew about React Admin, but yeah, I don't think I've dug beyond the beginner mode. That's really amazing. So you have a lot of experience with a lot of different authentication and backend providers and APIs. Now, obviously we know you're a Supabase fan, but maybe you can tell us a little bit sort of like what do you like about Supabase, and then maybe also where is there room for improvement? Like what can we do to make your life easier?
Yeah. So. First, I love Supabase. I have to say it at least 10 times more because the developer experience is just absolutely awesome. The fact that you can start the entire Supabase stack locally and work without being connected to the SaaS service and test everything much faster and, build a throwaway database and then throw it away, obviously. So that's really one of the best developer experience that I've found. I love that it's really developer oriented. We see that with the documentation, we see that with the podcast, etc., etc. So we developers feel like first-class citizens. It's not something that, that there are so many developer tools that are aimed at the CIO because that's the one who will pay. And then when the developers start putting their hands on it, it's crap. That's not the case with Supabase. From top to bottom, it's really a pleasure to use. I love that it's committed to open source deeply, and we also open source React Admin and Atomic CRM because we believe in this ecosystem where everyone can build on the shoulders of giants and build awesome products, etc. But Supabase is really into that, and we can see the frequent updates. And there's always something we want to try, always something that solves a problem that we've had in the past. So it really feels like you guys read our minds somehow. I don't know how you do, but it's really going in the right direction. So we really love it. Well, sometimes there are some things that we love less. So, for instance, the fact that authentication by email has recently been deprecated. So I understood there was some abuse and that you had to disable it. So I understand, but it's a bummer. Sometimes the some less used tools would benefit from some polish, like the management API, for instance, which we probably using more than the average Supabase user. But overall, there are not many projects of that level of quality, so we really love it.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, obviously for your kind words as well as, your contributions to Supabase and, also all your feedback. Honestly, you say we read your minds, but, since you tell us your feedback, it makes that a lot easier. So yeah, that's been really great. Thanks so much, Francois, for sharing with us Atomic CRM and React Admin and what you're working on. Really, really incredible open source projects. I think folks, out there, if you're building tools, even your own Spotify, you can use React Admin and the ecosystem around it, which is really incredible. Francois, thank you so much. Anything else? Anything you want to plug? Anything you haven't mentioned yet?
No, really, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Thor. Great to be invited to this podcast, and looking forward to continuing partnering with Supabase in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Merci beaucoup for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And see you on the internet. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.